Hey guys, feeper here back with another video for you. We're doing something a little different today. I haven't really done any Pokemon content. Actually, I don't think I've done any Pokemon content on the YouTube channel, and I haven't really done any on the stream in a while. But I am playing in a grassroots draft pick tournament, and I plan on uploading the games with some post-game analysis, and I figured I might as well talk about my team's draft. A couple quick things before we start. I do stream every day of the week except Monday and Thursday at twitch.tv/feeper7, so check me out over there. And this tournament is best of one multi-battles during the playoffs. Another thing is that we pick a total of 12 Pokemon. Each person on the team brings 4, and then we actually pick 3 to bring into the battle. So it's 6v6, which is different than like normal VGC rules where it's 2 teams of 6 and you bring 4. Another thing is that we pick a total of 12 Pokemon, and then each person brings 4, and then you pick 3 to bring into the actual battle. During the draft, you get 1 S tier, 2 A's, and then 3 B's, C, D's, which you can see listed here. So I am one of the captains of the Raichus. Yes, that is the name that I came up with, and I also made that symbol. So if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Photoshop lessons are available, by the way. I'm not really sure how this happened, but somehow my partner and I got first pick. And as you can see, we decided to get Rillaboom first. Rillaboom is just like a crazy Pokemon. I mean, he had like almost 50% usage across all the teams and on cart and on showdown for like a month or something. I mean, he's just insane. Like, I'm sure you all know if you're watching this video, you can run super fast with Choice Band and U-turn out if you're in a bad situation. Although you don't even need to go super fast, you can do like max attack HP because you have priority Grassy Glide. You can go bulky with Assault Vest. He works well within Trick Room and out because of priority, and like you can do super physically bulky with Grassy Seed. I mean, there's just like so many things you can do. He has Fake Out, he has Knockoff, high horsepower, good Dynamax option, G-Max, or I mean, honestly, like if they have a bunch of ways to reset terrain, normal Rillaboom could be good too to get the grassy terrain back. Like, there's just literally so much that you can do with this Pokemon that we were like, we can't not pick him. He's just like literally the best grass type in the meta right now. And anyone who has a water type against us is definitely going to be thinking twice about bringing it. And even if they don't have a water type, like, he's still amazing. So we decided to go with him first. Now, since the pick order was a snaking draft order and we had first picked, we had to wait for everyone else to pick twice before we could then pick again. So a lot of good like A tier Pokemon were gone, as you know, we can't have more than 1 S tier, so this was done. There were a lot of good A tier Pokemon that were gone, things like Porygon Z, Dracovish, Arcanine, stuff like that. So after that, we really didn't feel super pressured to pick an A tier because we were like, well, we don't really want any of these right away. We're okay with waiting a bit. Let's get some lower tier Pokemon that we want to take away from other people and use for our team. So we decided to get our mascot Raichu and Clefairy. Now, I think for reasons that I will discuss later, I think maybe we kind of messed up here. Getting Clefairy was definitely the right move, especially since we don't want whoever has Porygon Z to have Clefairy Porygon Z, because that's a terrifying lead. But like Friend Guard and just the amount of support that Clefairy brings and its decent bulk with Eviolite is really strong. We definitely wanted to get Clefairy. Raichu, I think we could have waited on. I don't really know if anyone was really going to pick Raichu. It does have great speed control with Nuzzle, and it's one of the fastest things in the format. The only things that really outspeed it are Talonflame, Cinderace, Dragapult, and I think there's like 1 or 2 more, but they're super rare. So it's one of the fastest Pokemon in the meta. It gets Fake Out. It could be decently bulky with Assault Vest. Focus Sash is another great item for it. Nuzzle, Fake Out, and then, you know, +2, you could do Volt Switch, Eerie Impulse. You could do Pickle, Eerie Impulse. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do with him to really disrupt the enemy team. And as long as he's surviving for 2 turns, it can get some stat drops off. Although in a format with 6 Pokemon, it might not be quite as strong. So maybe something like Assault Vest and then just permanently paralyzing things would be better. But I think we could have waited on the Raichu pick. Getting something like Escavalier or Gyarados for Intimidate, and just Gyarados' good offenses. One of the Urshifus was taken, but I think it was the Dark form, but the Water... one of the 2 was taken, but the other one was open. We got that. Like I said, unfortunately, things like Dracovish and Arcanine were gone. No, Sylveon was gone. We really wanted Mimikyu, actually, but that got taken as well, which really hurt. We really wanted to get Mimikyu. If we could have gotten Mimikyu Clefairy here, that would have been insane. Or Mimikyu, or Dracovish Clefairy. That would have been crazy with Rillaboom. Oh, but it wasn't meant to be, so we got these 2. Then we decided to get Drifblim and Rotom Heat. So Drifblim pairs great with Rillaboom because you could do Grassy Seed, then you get the double speed boost from a Burden. So it's not the I think Dragon Bolt still outspeeds it, but I'm pretty sure you outspeed Cinderace if you're max speed timid. I'll have to check that. But you're super fast. You can't get faked out. You could get taunted with a Prankster Pokemon, but other than that, I mean, you basically can't. Or I guess you get Choice Scarf taunted, which we should watch out for. But other than that, I mean, you basically can't stop Tailwind from going up with this thing, with Unburden. It also gets Flare Boost with Flame Orb to boost its special attack by 1.5. So that could actually be like a kind of cool late game like Dynamax option, or just for crazy damage. But Drifblim Rillaboom, I think, is a lead that we're going to definitely entertain a lot. It's a little predictable, though I'm not quite sure how much we want to do it in a best of one, but it is very strong, and getting Tailwind up will be really good. The problem is they can burn through our Tailwind turns pretty easily with the extra 2 Pokemon, so we're going to have to watch out for that. But I think Drifblim can be really scary, both offensively and defensively. Then we got Rotom Heat. We picked Heat because we wanted some Fire Stab, and it's, another somewhat bulky, but also somewhat hard-hitting Pokemon. You can go, pretty bulky with like Nasty Plot and then Dynamax it. Especially, Nasty Plot, Rotom Heat with Clefairy can be very dangerous, and then Dynamax it right away. Or you can kind of sacrifice that, and I mean, I guess you could do like a Life Orb thing to get some immediate power. There's a lot of things that we can do with it. It doesn't have to worry about the 4 times weakness ground unless we're up against like Mold Breaker, Excadrill, or Weezing. But against those 2 matchups, we either won't bring it or we'll be prepared for that. Maybe we should have gone with Rotom Wash, as I'll kind of get into later. Our original plan was to get Volcarona for our Fire type, but it already got taken before this pick, so we're like, let's get Rotom Heat. I personally like Heat more than Wash just because its moves are more accurate. I really just don't like Hydro Pump. I feel like every time I use Hydro Pump, I miss. And then every time I face a Lapras that uses Hydro Pump or Blizzard, they just hit every time, and it's great. But at least, Overheat is more accurate, but it lowers your special attack. But like, I'd rather get the guaranteed damage off turn 1. Or you can do Heat Wave. I just like the accuracy more, so we decided to go with Heat. Now, after we picked these 2, we were looking at what the other teams had, because we felt fairly solid about our draft so far, and we kind of wanted to start looking at, what can we take away from other teams, or what can we do to prepare ourselves for the others. And we noticed that 2 of them had some pretty strong weather. One team has somehow got Politoed Kingdra. I don't really know how that happened. And another team got Ninetales Charizard. Again, not really sure. Maybe it was Torkoal Zard. I don't know. Either way, don't know how those 2 things happened, but we were like, okay, we need to have an answer for weather. So we decided to go with Licky Licky. Now, this is my partner's suggestion, and honestly, I think it's pretty good. I'm actually really excited for this. So Normal is a great defensive typing, and this thing actually has a pretty decent, pretty good stat distribution and a good move pool. So with that combined with Cloud9 and it being pretty tanky, I mean, we could get this thing like leftovers and just kind of have it stick around for forever. It could be pretty good. I think it could be really strong against those weather teams. Other than that, we might not honestly bring it too much, but we'll kind of see. I got to look into his move pool a bit more and its tier. It could be also a really good Pokemon to use in Trick Room when we go up against Trick Room teams. So I think Licky Licky was a good pick here. And speaking of Trick Room, we also got Musharna. We felt that we were pretty weak to Trick Room at this point. We had Rillaboom can go in and out, but Rotom Heat, Clefairy, I guess, doesn't really care, but Rotom Heat and Raichu really don't want to be in Trick Room. Same with Drifblim. So, especially if we do Unburden, we really don't want to be in Trick Room. So we were like, okay, what can we get that could either reset Trick Room or deter Trick Room? And we decided to go with Musharna. I actually think Musharna is really good. I have been watching Wolfie's WVE run, and he's been using Musharna a lot. And that's kind of where I got the inspiration from. I was like, he's using Musharna. I'm like, dang, this Pokemon is actually kind of nuts. This thing's fragging. So I was like, why don't we get Musharna? And my partner was like, yeah, let's do that. So we decided to get Musharna as sort of our Trick Room answer / if we want to set up Trick Room, we can with some of our Pokemon. It would have been better if we had a Scavalier or something else a little slower that can be a sleeper, which you'll see we don't really quite have, but I think Musharna definitely has a place on this team. So at this point, we have 2 B tiers left, 1 A tier, and 1 C. There were only 4 or 5 A tier Pokemon left, and there were still 2 other teams that had at least 1 A tier pick, so we decided to get a fast special attacker since we didn't, Rillaboom's physical. Rotom Heat is special, but it's not super fast, and unless you do like Life Orb max special attack, it kind of needs Nasty Plot to really do a ton of damage, and then Raichu, Clefairy are support. Musharna's not really doing a ton of damage, and then Drifblim, depending on what we do with it. We didn't really have like a set solid, this is our special sweeper if we want one, so we decided to go with Gengar. We could have gone with Corviknight, but that's not special, and other than that, I think it was there was Corviknight, Sableye, Gengar, and remember what the other A tiers were, but there weren't a ton that we really wanted. It was kind of like we either get Corviknight or Gengar. And we were like, well, we don't want someone else to take Gengar. We'd rather have it. So we just decided to go with him. Max Ooze, especially since he's special, could do a lot. And Gengar Clefairy, help make up for Gengar's sort of lacking bulk. And Dynamax would actually be really, really strong now that I'm thinking about it. And then Poison, really great against fairies. There's a couple teams that have a decent amount of fairies. And then Ghost lowers their defense, which is really strong for Pokemon like Rillaboom. Not a lot of things resist Ghost, so it's pretty good just neutral damage anyways. There is the option of G-Max Gengar for trapping them with Parasong, but I don't really think that's an option. I think Max Ghost is better, but maybe we'll entertain it. Who knows? Then we looked at the other teams again, and we noticed that a couple of them were pretty psychic heavy, / we wanted something for the Hatterene and Indeedee team. That, again, I don't know how a team got Hatterene and Indeedee, but somehow they did. And we were like, okay, so we need a dark type. We wanted to originally get Bisharp, but it got taken, I think, a round prior. So we were like, okay, what dark type can we get? And my partner was like, why don't we get Drapion? So we got Drapion. I think this thing could actually do a ton of damage. It's a little, we have 2 ground weaknesses between Drapion and, well, I guess 3 between Raichu, Drapion, and Gengar. So we definitely got to watch out for that. But Cross Poison, Night Slash, Scopeland Sniper is like basically a guaranteed crit. And he's got pretty decent, Drapion's got pretty decent stats. His attack stat isn't phenomenal, but with the pretty much guaranteed crit, we can run a little bit more bulk on him or speed investment and then not have to worry so much about not having enough damage because we have the crits. It also gets Taunt, which could be really useful. And I don't know, I feel like if we lead Drapion against the Hat and Indeedee team, like what do they really do? You know what I mean? Like we could just lead Drapion with Min Speed Rillaboom, get the terrain control off, and then Cross Poison the Hatterene. And they'll probably follow me, but we at least kill Indeedee turn 1, and they get Trick Room off, but they don't have the terrain they want. So I think it could be really strong. Looking back, maybe we didn't need to get a Ghost and a Dark type back to back, but that's what we opted for. I think having the 2 options is really nice because they kind of fill different roles. Drapion's a bit slower but bulkier, whereas Gengar is kind of just a super fast hard hitter. So I think it'll work out for us. Next, we wanted some Fighting Stab, and the only options left were Lucario, but we don't really have like reliable beat up, so we didn't go with Lucario. Although the steel coverage could have been nice, so I think that's something to look at in the future for trading. But it was really just Lucario, Passimian, and Kommo-o. And we decided to go with Kommo-o. It's got great stats because it's a pseudo. And things with like AV, it can be really bulky. You can survive against stuff like Kingdra. If we have like this with Cloud9, we can definitely put some real hurt on Kingdra because it won't be moving before us. And it's also really nice because this thing can go physical or special. So it has good, good stabs on either side between close combat or sphere. Obviously, physical is a little bit better for fighting, but Dragon can go either way. So I think Kommo-o could definitely do a lot of work. The only problem is against fairies, we just pretty much can't bring it because it's 4 times weak. But we're not really going to bring a Dragon into fairies anyways. So I think Kommo-o could definitely put on a lot of work for our team. Then we wanted a water type, and this is kind of what I was talking about before. We kind of pigeonholed ourselves here. There weren't really any great water types left. The only really good ones that we felt we could use were either Starmie or Dreadnought. And we decided to go with Dreadnought. Now, I feel like Dreadnought is either going to be great or it's going to be horrible. I'm not really sure. Maybe he'll surprise us. It's got decent physical bulk, and we could do like a Thundershock Raichu weakness policy thing. And his G-Max form and his regular form are both good. G-Max form, we could set up Stealth Rocks, and since things are 6v6, that actually is way more valuable than it normally would be, since there's going to be more switching and more Pokemon coming in, especially against teams that have a lot of fire types. So that could be really, really strong. But if we don't want that and we just want the special defense boost and the chip damage from sand, we could also do that. I think he has the viability with both, but I think we're probably going to use G-Max more to get the Stealth Rocks up, because I don't think many teams are going to think about that or have a rapid spin user. So I think Stealth Rocks could be really strong, and then we can set up Rain as well. We can do fire types, and we don't really have like a strong, besides Rotom Heat, we're not like really reliant on fire types. So I think that weather could be really, really useful. But I'm feeling pretty good about Dreadnought. Maybe we'll trade him, maybe we won't. We're gonna have to do a couple games with or without him and see if we like him or not. But I think he could put in some work. I think Stealth Rocks could be really strong in this format. And then we just had our last pick. So we just have one D tier Pokemon left. And it was Like it was so hard because we were like, oh, like none of these Pokemon are really good. We actually were originally thinking Steelix for a second, and then I realized that I was looking at Mega Steelix's stats and not normal Steelix's stats. I was like, oh, dude, what does Hatterene do to Steelix? And then I realized that Steelix just like dies to Mystical Fire, and you don't actually kill it fast enough. And we're like, okay, maybe we don't pick Steelix. But who knows? Maybe we'll pick up Steelix at some point. I have trust in Steelix. I think Steelix should frag. But it was really between Scyther and Miltank. Miltank because it actually has a really good move pool and stats, and it has 3 abilities that could be really, really strong between Scrappy, Thick Fat, and I think Sap Sipper was the other one. Like all 3 of those could be really strong. Mostly Scrappy and oh wait, no, it was Scrappy. Yeah, Scrappy and Scrappy, Thick Fat were the 2 that we were like, okay, those could be really strong depending on the team. And its move pool is really good. Or we were thinking Scyther because in a draft league, you know, the only things that are outspeeding it are Dragapult, Talonflame, and Cinderace. And since you're not going on ladder and you know what their team is, you can Pokemon that aren't traditionally at the top tier of speed now are, because you know what their max speed tiers are, even with Choice Scarf. So Scyther's really, really quick, and with Choice Band Dual Wing Beat, this thing does a ton of damage. Or even Choice Band U-Turn. Kind of like Rillaboom, except it's more frail. Or if we don't bring Clefairy, I honestly was using a Eviolite Scyther for a while, and it was pretty decent. And the flying coverage is pretty nice. Honestly, Max Bug I think is underrated. Lowering their special attack is really, really strong. So I think Scyther could do really well. That's what we decided to go with. Also, Choice Band Dual Wing Beat Oko's Dynamax Venusaur. So yeah. And that's pretty much it. That's our draft. Like I said, I think we could have done better in terms of what Pokemon we drafted when, but overall, I think, you know, the main thing with our team is we have a lot of diversity. We don't have a ton of super strong synergies outside of, I mean, Clefairy pairs well with anything, but the only really like set lead we have is Rillaboom, Drifblim. You know, there are certain teams that like have Hat DD or, you know, Sun with Charizard or Politoed Kingdra. They have like those set synergies. We don't necessarily have that, but we do have a lot of options and a lot of weird techs that we can do with our team. And I think in a best of 1, that could be really strong. Best of 3, it might be a little bit more difficult because some of the things that we are going to do are kind of gimmicky, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think our team could be really strong. And if we do get to the best of 3, that's when we'll probably make most of our trades. So, you know, be on the lookout for the games. Our first game is in 2 weeks from now, so I'm not sure when I'm going to upload this video. As I said earlier, I will be uploading the games with some post-game analysis, so be on the lookout for those. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch and drop this video a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content. It really helps me out. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Peace. If you guys liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Other than that, I'll see you all in the next one.